Eh. Oh, shit. Hooray.
That's on camera.
Hello, and welcome to Tiny Ginger Studios, our first review video, as promised in the last video, and welcome to the channel, Rachel. She does exist, you see. She's not just a photo that I found off the internet. She's also that. And as promised, we have reviewed Guardians of the We're about to review Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
We have just seen it.
Yeah, we've literally just got back from the cinemas. Worth noting, we saw it in 2D on a normal cinema screen.
Yeah. Which was still bloody expensive because cinemas.
Correct. And I suspect the sound was slightly off.
Definitely. It just wasn't quite balanced.
Yeah, mix was slightly off. So we're going to kind of go broad strokes, go nitty gritty, and then kind of go to spoilers, right?
Yes.
And
I'm going to attempt to restrain myself.
Yeah, we're going to put spoiler little time code here, and if Rachel ever does a spoiler, I'll just beep it out in the edit.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So, Rachel, what do you... can you tell the audience what the story of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is? Without spoilers.
No. So they go on a mission, and they do some stuff. And it's funny. That's not a spoiler. It's funny. It's significantly funnier, I think, than they have been in just generally in the Marvels. I think this is the funniest.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And yeah, so just to start in general, what do you say? Enjoyed the film?
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Definitely a thumbs up. Definitely a go watch. Like, definitely a good film. I don't think it's as good as the last one.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Which is to say, the last Guardians, I do think it's better than Doctor Strange.
Was that the last one? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, it was. Yes, I agree. I totally agree. Great film overall. Really well done. All the leads were phenomenal, as you'd imagine. But yeah, I think it just fell a little short of the first one by like a hair, by like a quarter of a star.
Yeah, it was sort of a little loose. It just needed kind of a tidy up, a pull together.
Yeah, and I was saying, like, a couple of days ago, I rewatched Age of Ultron because it's on Netflix. Hey, sponsor is Netflix. And that definitely feels like a case of the studio saying, hey, Joss Whedon, you nailed the first one. Here's all the money and the power. Do like half the drafts you did for the first one and have fun.
But I thought there was a whole story behind what happened there.
I think there probably is.
I thought there was a whole story to do with, and I might just be making this up, but I thought there was a whole story to do with the edit then not being the film that he'd planned for. And being pissed about it.
That's why he stopped doing them. You're possibly right. So essentially what I said was bullshit, but I feel like it's just in the scripting.
This at least did feel a little bit like it just... one more draft.
Yeah.
Either of the edit or of the script, just one more draft to pull it in together, because there were a couple of moments that you felt like, I've already had this bit of the story, I don't need it again.
Correct, yeah, I totally agree. Like it was a draft and a half away from being really
Perfect.
that bit, but yeah. So obviously it is a very funny film. And I would say percentage-wise about 80% of that lands.
I would have said almost all of it lands. I thought in a way that Doctor Strange didn't.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt the humour in Doctor Strange just didn't fit the character or the tones of those comedy. It just didn't land.
Yeah.
I felt like this, even though perhaps there was a vague sense of, okay, we might not have needed a joke right this instant.
You keep talking, I'm just going to adjust this.
Just because, yes. Yeah, there were one or two moments where it felt like maybe this was written because they knew everybody was going to love Baby Groot and they could sell loads of merchandise.
Merchandise! Which we've fallen for, clearly.
Yeah, no, I mean, yes, we're suckers. So, well done you.
Sorry, Torchic's also on the piss.
Yeah, there were some moments that just sort of felt like they were pitched for, our fans are going to like this, so let's stick a silly in here.
I think the problem is the first volume, Guardians Volume 1, it broke new ground. You know, it came out with, it was very bombastic. It was before we had the new wave of Star Wars coming in, and it was kind of like, my God, this is what a new Star Wars can be. It's a space romp. It's got comedy. It's got heart to it. It's vibrant and it's well written with great characters. We've never seen this kind of thing before, or at least in a long time. And now this is the difficult follow-up, and I think I totally agree. It feels like parts of it, especially the humour, were written with that in mind of, hey, our fans really liked the bits where Groot was
so
stupid.
let's play to the
this. Yeah. And again, I mean, you think more than me, but I think at least 8% of it absolutely lands, and it's a really great fun ride. 100% see it in the cinemas.
Oh yeah, definitely see it. Definitely see it. It's, I mean, none of this is about it not being good. It's just more fun to pick apart the little bits.
Yeah. So as I said, the opening, we've done broad strokes. That's very broad. Very broad.
I mean, I think the other thing to mention, broad strokes, is the colours.
Yes. So yeah. Okay. So with Marvel, I think one of the biggest recurring detriments or recurring negatives would be
criticisms.
Thank you very much. That's the word.
Criticisms
Is that the grading on most of their films is very muted. Their blacks aren't pure true blacks, and it's very kind of grey tones, and nothing really pops really, especially in the Avengers film, first Avengers film. It looks a lot like a TV show in a lot of it. What are you smiling at?
I really shouldn't say.
Hard cut. Welcome back, just from a cut there, just to get around what Rachel just said.
I'm sorry.
But there's
I'm sorry.
You're going to keep it refrained down.
Yeah, I'm in control.
You're in control.
I'm back.
She's had a quarter of a beer, ladies and gentlemen.
I've had a half.
Jesus Christ. Okay, yes, but that being said, after all the muted colours and whatnot, Doctor Strange, now this, and looking at what Thor Ragnarok's going to look like, it feels like they've gone kind of just balls to the wall, other opposite direction. Technicolor, very vibrant, kind of like a 80s disco special.
I mean, it was like the 80s comics colours-wise. It just was like, bam, colours, I'm so colourful.
Correct. It's like it was shouting, bam, colours, I'm so colourful, in your face, which is great. I love it.
It worked.
And I don't think this is because of, but, you know, you could say, well, DC's come along with their cinematic universe, and a lot of that is kind of a techno-crazy colour fest, and maybe Marvel have taken on board some of the criticisms about the grading and seen that, you know, DC, granted, you know, there's good stuff about DC, and there's obviously DC fans out there of the comics. We are the look at the books behind. We love them, but the films are interesting.
The films are not working.
To be less tactful.
They're not. They could be, and they've come really, really close in many times. Like I've just sat down and watched all the way through Suicide Squad, and it's exactly what everyone has told you, which is you can feel the good film. It's there. It just
small orgasm noise.
That's not my orgasm noise, and
it's not?
No.
Cut again. So yeah, it feels like maybe, you know what, we're just going a bit more vibrant now, which is absolutely fair. You know, you start off with a certain.
It might be to do with the fact that we're going into space, and we're going into
space?
You know, traveling through worlds and people's minds.
And space.
And space.
Yeah.
And as a result, as we play into the fantastic, which is not to say, obviously, Hulk fantastic, Thor fantastic, but as we get into those worlds...
The fantasy realms rather than like the sci-fi realms.
Yes.
So, I mean, I suppose the first Thor, because we saw that again recently. No, myself and Jim saw that. Jim, this guy, we saw it recently together. I put it in the edit. His face will appear here. That's right, Jim. Stop it. So, yeah, we saw the first Thor again, and that does have like the vibrant colours. It's kind of like... Maybe that's what they're doing. They're separating Earth, kind of muted tones, fantasy, spacey stuff, crazy colours.
Yes.
Fine.
Or they have no plan and they're winging it.
I don't think that's the case with Marvel at all. I think it's a sinister plot the other way around. 100%. They know everything they're doing. They know everything we're doing. They know that this is happening.
I don't think they care what we're doing.
I don't think they care, but I think they know, though. We were going more specifics. We've gone really, really wildly broad. Cut again.
Bring it in. So,
starting at the beginning, to not spoil anything, but you've seen the opening. If you've seen any trailers, you've seen the opening.
You've seen some of the best jokes, really. You've seen a lot of the moments. There were a lot of times where I was like, oh, I wish I was seeing this for the first time.
Yeah, and then the classic thing where the joke's been edited in a different way in the trailer. So that's for me, that's always jarring, where you think there's a punchline coming, then it's a different punchline, and great, but also...
Yeah.
Fine. But yeah, so you've seen the opening essentially, and that was one of my biggest problems straight off the bat. I really felt like there's kind of the title opening credit sequence, title sequence, is very stylized. There's a very long running joke through it, kind of like, Deadpool's credit sequence had like a nice little running joke to do it.
Can we just break through the spoilers now, because I feel like it's better if you say.
You're doing spoilers now. Okay, spoilers. Yeah, spoilers.
Now.
From now until this time code. Oh, really? So, the opening, you've seen it with the big purpley space monster thing.
Yes.
And the whole running thing is we're following Baby Groot doing a little dance while the title credits are going through.
And it brings in the whole, the music is so important in that world and in their lives.
Yeah, and for me, that just wasn't landing.
That was one of the moments that I felt was a merchandise decision.
Yeah.
It felt like it was about the fact that people love Baby Groot, and so people love Baby Groot, and let's not understate how awesome Baby Groot is.
We love
because he's everything.
He's great.
But that whole scene was longer than it needed to be, and it was entirely just, look how cute he is.
Yeah. And he is cute, and it was great.
He's cute. But we knew he was cute. We knew it at the end of the last film.
Yes, we didn't
need to be
absolutely. I don't know. I mentioned I'm wearing this jacket because it's kind of my Star-Lord-y jacket that I bought at the beginning after we saw the first film. It's red.
It was his Power Rangers jacket too when that film came out.
Because it's red. So yeah, the first joke for me was kind of which was a worry. But I think straight off the bat of that, it picks up again and it finds its feet. And once we're in spoilers, aren't we? So once we get to the golden people, the
golden people.
Golden people. And he picks up there.
That had some really lovely moments there, and it had some really lovely sort of true to how Peter Quill's character is defined in the first one. Mm-hmm. Like there's all his sort of play with the flirting, and then how it's developed in relation to his his crush, and it just was nice. It felt like it was straight out of that world.
Absolutely correct, and I think from the kind of the film's point of view, it's only been a few months since they first did Guardians.
Yeah, it's definitely recent.
So the characters do feel like they're picking up where we left them off. I think they've found Drax a bit more.
He really, really came into his own in a big way in this film.
Yeah, or is he a bit less? Have they made him more three-dimensional by making him more two-dimensional? You know what I mean?
I have no idea what you mean.
They made him more interesting by making him more one note, but
I don't think he was one note.
He was very much the comic relief.
Oh, I don't know if I'd agree with that at all.
Who's the comic relief?
I wouldn't have said there was one of them. I think everybody was
making
jokes all the way through.
Yeah.
It was just constant jokes. It was joke. Yeah. Emotional scene, joke. Emotional scene, joke.
Well, that needs to be discussed as well.
Which, yes, should be come to.
100%. I know, I feel with Drax like it was almost like, okay, so he's literal and he says the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, no, I think there was a lot more to him than that, though. There was the whole budding of the sort of development of the relationship and the, the sort of parent-child stuff and the memories. It was, I think, we really delved into in a realer way his memory of his family once we got past the revenge thing of the last film, and it actually was a person who was moving on with their lives but held a history.
I mean, you've changed my mind entirely. Well done. Correct.
I have purpose now.
What I just said 2 minutes ago, call that guy a dickhead because it's not true. Yes. So that, I think, yeah, I liked Drax a lot. The new characters of Mantis, Mantis is the new character, obviously, and Ego being both a kind of protagonist at the beginning kind of thing, or at least a plot device.
Very, very important character.
And then, with spoilers, and then becoming the antagonist very much at the end.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot, obviously.
I think it worked. I definitely think it worked. It got into him being the antagonist thing, kind of like vomit, and now he is.
Yes, there was just
and now everything's bad.
Which is fine, and there were like literally seeds planted at the beginning.
There were literally seeds planted.
Seeds planted.
He plants seeds.
Genius. So it was quite well done, and we're saying it's kind of like the B plot / the kind of story engine is well weaved throughout as well, with the batteries that Rocket steals from the gold
you
people.
had this whole thing where the batteries get stolen, and you know from the moment the batteries are featured that they're going to be important.
Yeah.
But it's done in a way that's satisfying rather than like, oh, well, yeah, that was going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Yondu comes into his own, played by this guy, whose name I can't remember, but he's that guy. He's in The Walking Dead also. Was phenomenal, and I loved his character. And
it was Karen Gillan who really stood out to me.
No, really? It was old Nebula.
Yeah, she just... Who knew she could do that? Well done, Amy Pond.
Well, we knew from the first film.
No, but I think there was... The first film, she was, like, standard, two-dimensional, you know, bitchy and angry.
Yes.
And there was a lot more to her this time.
Yeah, okay, right, we're going to delve right into the nitty-gritty, itty-bitty, big old issue with this film, okay? This is the thing, this is the big driving negative mass in the middle, which is frustrating to have. And that is, I would say, the second act slows down.
Just so far down.
Really quickly, and you get, it's got to be 4 or 5 scenes, and they are literally back-to-back, where 2 characters discuss...
How they feel and why they feel that way.
Yeah. Here's my backstory, and here's my emotions because of that, and it's just like boof, 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 boof. You're like, okay, please stop now.
Yeah, people don't talk like that. People do not sit around, or at least generally, people do not sit around and be self-aware. That's not conversation.
Yeah.
And it's not interesting. And there was an awful lot of it.
And that doubles back to one of our previous points, where it feels like it's kind of a draft or two lacking. I think if you just had maybe another part of the writing team just look over it, or just
and say, we've said this, we don't need to say this.
100%.
We've said this, we don't need to say this. And it was like scenes were kept because you loved the scene rather than the scene was needed to tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the scenes was good. They were all really good and they all worked. They just didn't all need to be there.
No, not at all. Yeah. And again, you were saying when we were in the car on the way home, you were saying that you'd have these scenes, and then pretty much they'd all be then just end on a gag. And
yeah,
then...
like it's not too emotional, 'cause joke, which works, like, a few times.
Yeah.
But then you just know it's coming.
Yeah, and 5 times in a row of emotion, gag. Emotion,
and then
gag.
2 other characters, emotion, gag.
You're like, and then, we then get to the Act 3, I think really ties itself together.
Yes, Act 3 really, really works.
In a nice finale, a very unique finale. Again, after Doctor Strange had a very unique finale to it.
This one, I think this one really is the same feel, the same tone as Doctor Strange.
Yes, I would give you that kind of like weird cosmic kind of shifting of dimensions, and like the whole universe is at stake and all that kind of thing.
And the CGI plays. I'm usually very anti all of that stuff. I think it doesn't work. I think it ages so fast.
I think there's a couple of shots that are already old.
Yeah, so there's a couple of shots in this that are not going to play, but for the most part, it didn't take me out of it. That it was all make believe.
I just realised that Evie's behind me. Looks like I've got a neck tail this entire video. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna put a cut in here because I'm trying to think of a next point.
Hey, he had a thought.
Point. Comic book accuracy. When they announced that Kurt Russell was playing Ego, the living planet, and all of the merchandise and marketing stuff just showed Kurt Russell being Kurt Russell, which lovely. But everyone's going, but he's a living planet. Are we seeing a planet?
Yes.
We're seeing that. I think they did fairly well, actually.
I think that worked significantly better than I thought it would. And I think, the stuff they did with the bubbles, just some of it was beautiful.
Yeah, visuals when they first get onto Ego's planet, or Ego himself, was lovely. It was called Ego's Planet in the little kind of title crawl.
Yeah, no, I was there. I just it suddenly made me feel weird that...
They're on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they did the whole planet with the face thing. It was in one shot, but it would do.
It worked.
And then
it was in any more would have been too much.
Yeah, I could have done with just a massive space battle against the planet with a face. I could have done with that.
I think it would have been too silly, which sounds ridiculous because the whole film is silly, but I just think it would have been
Yeah,
kind of daft.
I was rooting for it. I still would have liked it. I mean, I think they have a great finale, which is in the core of Ego, and Peter's kind of adapting these powers, which is just got his guard, and they're doing like
and
big
everybody's
cosmic
saved
things
by
and-
Groot again because
Yeah,
it's Groot.
because Groot. Well, yeah, there's like everyone's doing their bit and whatnot. And they've got the classic hero shot from the first Avengers where the camera pans around and the music swells, and we go, "Oh, we care about this
Yeah, we're
character."
doing this, and then they subvert it with comedy, which is kind of their thing.
Kind of that thing.
That's what they do.
And yeah, so at that point, I was happy because I was going in kind of trepidatious about how they're doing Ego. I was really hoping they weren't just like, yeah, I call myself the living planet because I can make a planet. And so I'm like, no, just
No,
make him-
he literally was Planet.
He is planet with a face. So that's lovely.
Yeah.
So that was great. And talking about comic book accuracy, Sylvester Stallone plays a small part in this. That's
But
right.
it's great.
Sylvester Stallone turns up and he's in the film in 2 scenes and then in a post-credit scene, and he is playing Starhawk, which isn't mentioned by name in the film itself, but comic book nerds out there will know he's one of the original members of the first comic run of Guardians of the Galaxy, and then in one of the post-credit scenes, the many post-credit scenes, the original, fairly original, if not, a couple of things, rock up and do a pose and whatnot, and that's lovely.
It's great.
That's, I think Joe Average audience members going,
Yeah, but it was nice to have, given that there was so much in there that was sort of for the cinematic universe fans. It was nice to have something for the people who live and breathe this stuff.
Yeah, 100%. And it's got me hoping, and now I do hope that I get little seeds, and I really hope. James Gunn has said that Guardians Volume 3 obviously will take place after Infinity War 1 and the second Infinity War film that's now not an Infinity War, but that. Volume 3 will take place, and that will be very much the story of Peter Quill and Drax and Gamora and Rocket and Groot and Nebula and now Mantis and whatnot. But if there is a Volume 4, it will follow me a whole different team. Now, the little seed of me is going, maybe, because Yondu was great and I think it's going to be generally well received in this film, maybe they could do like a kind of a prequel thing where they follow the original Guardians of the Galaxy with Sylvester Stallone and Yondu and all of that. It'd be quite cool. Who'd it first?
I do not think that's going to happen, or should.
Why shouldn't it? Well, that'd be
I
great.
don't think it would be good.
Why? You've ruined my life.
I don't... No.
Why would that be bad then?
I mean, I don't know that I buy Sylvester Stallone carrying one of these films.
Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry.
Like, I'm talking Expendables in space?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I'd love that. That would be great. Do it. Do it now, James Gunn. Don't listen to him.
Please, can I have the bottle open?
Oh, you're opening the second bottle.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Chug. So, I think to wrap up.
Yeah? I think we've covered... It was a very character development...
Yes.
heavy film,
Yes.
which is not a bad thing, especially given that they really just jumped into the action with the first one. It was nice to see the kind of, I say pilot, obviously that it's not TV, I know that, but it was nice to see a little subversion in when and where the characters come into who they are.
Yeah.
It will be interesting to see who he has become as a result of the tragedies of this film.
Yes, and it being known that Infinity War will take place 4 Earth years, after the events of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So they'll have 4 years to grow and change, and Groot literally to grow and change. So it will be curious to see what that is, because a lot of Peter's character was about his father and finding his father and not knowing his
so
heritage.
much of that was about who he was, and we're in spoiler sections, so you come to the end, and he's literally in the space of maybe a couple of minutes to watch both his father and his father figure die in his arms.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing that would mess a guy up.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
I don't think you walk away from that being happy, cheery, let's dance fella.
Well, that, and they broke his Walkman.
They did break his Walkman.
But I think to wrap it up in a nice, neat bubble, I would give it, and I've just coming up with this rating system now, I've not warned you about it, but I would give it 3 3/4 Tiny Ginger Vikings out of 5. What would you give it? I want to give it 4.
I think I'd give it 4. I think I'd give it 4, and here's why.
Okay, hit me up.
It has brought so much joy to so many people who are not that into this kind of thing.
Hang on, you can't rate it what?
Well, I just think there are imperfections and there's a lot that hasn't worked, but actually people are loving it. Like, people are loving it, and given that we are like really deep into the realm of running the superhero fatigue risk,
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I will give it that 4th star just because people love it. They do.
But as a film, though,
Yeah, people do.
What about in your opinion, though? Not in what it brings to people, but as a film.
I think its value as a film is part of what it contributes to the industry as a whole, and what I think it is doing is breathing new life into...
Sorry, the cat's just climbing the radio.
I think 4, but I would want to watch it again.
Yeah, I think if we could watch it again in a cinema that
Here's why 4.
Sound.
Because the sound, I think, was a big problem for us. The music in the fight scenes was too quiet. And either that's a problem with the film, which seems like a stupid mistake to
make. In the
make.
comments below, if you thought the sound was off as well, then maybe it wasn't just our cinema.
Yeah, do let us know. It seems unlikely because the music is so much a part of the whole narrative.
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially with this film.
Yeah, especially with this film, that it just seems highly unlikely that that wasn't just a mess up in the things.
Yeah.
I thought this was better than Doctor Strange.
Yes.
And I do not think that Doctor Strange was a lower than 3-star film.
Agreed.
Therefore, or 3 Tiny Ginger Vikings.
Thank you for sticking to it.
This has to be a 4 Tiny Ginger Vikings.
Oh god, the screen's out. It's full of Tiny Ginger Vikings, isn't it? Okay. Stop. Don't try and grab. Don't grab that one. That's an evil one, isn't it? Nope. I'm still sticking it. 3 3/4, but it's a good 3 3/4. You know.
I definitely would watch it. 100%. And I think
100%.
I'd watch it a second time. You know.
Definitely.
I wouldn't see it in the cinema the second time.
Oh no,
I will.
I will. I'll happily see it in the cinema a second time.
For 16 quid. We have rent.
Oh yeah, that's a point. I could go homeless though and see it again.
No, where would you put all of... Look, where would you put Tiny
Bye!